So we've got something really cool here in this video. I bought a laser. So this is the Xtool F1, as you can see on the box. It has a 2-watt infrared laser and a 10-watt diode laser. It'll etch stuff, it'll cut some stuff. And I've seen these things and I just thought it looked cool, so I got it. Since I bought it during the Christmas package, it also came with the RA2 rotary attachment tool. It came with the slide extension, which lets me have a longer working area. And it came with the desktop smoke purifier. So I'm going to go and get this stuff out of the box. And yeah, let's take a look at it. And again, I did buy this. This is the most expensive thing I've ever purchased outside of a car or house. So hopefully it lives up to the hype, right? Okay, so I've got everything hooked up here. You got this little shield, and there's your work area. I've got it hooked up to the air filter. It does come with another hose. We'd focus. You can hook the hose up to the bottom outlet and run it out a window. But I actually went on Etsy, and I was looking for just stuff for this because I figure people have hacked stuff together. And someone actually has a secondary filter housing that is 3D printed. So I bought that. I'm going to hook that up. I'll show that to you. And I'm going to use that to go ahead and catch the outflow right now because it's like 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So, you know, don't really want to have the window open until I make like a thing to put in it to keep the cold air from coming in. So yeah, I'm going to get the hooked up to the laptop, get this plugged into power, and let's do a test print. I said test print. I got to stop saying that. I keep thinking of stuff as like a print. It's not a print, it's a laser. Let's do a test burn. So as promised, here is the aftermarket air filter. It's just a housing I bought on Etsy. It's 3D printed. It attaches to the outlet of their air filter. You just put a specific air filter in there. Okay, so we're set up here. We're going to be doing a test print. We're doing it on these little aluminum cards. Sorry for the lighting. I was just excited to play with this thing, so I'm not too worried about the lighting, and we're just using my can lighting. I will say I have a major complaint already. It's been an hour since I unboxed and plugged in everything. It would not work on my MacBook Pro. They're both M1 Apple Silicon. You know, they're on the same version. Everything just would not work. Would not connect, would not detect. I did get it to detect once. It connected, and then it immediately failed. So I just did the blue light, and that took 12 seconds. Obviously, it's not as good. We'll do it on some other materials now so you can see a little bit better. I just wanted to do this first because, yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, now that we've got it unboxed, we've got everything set up. It's a different day. This came on a Wednesday evening. It's now Monday morning, and I've had a chance to play with it some and kind of get familiar with it, figure out what I like, what I don't like. So this thing doesn't use a lot of power. The fan on the filter actually uses the most power. It'll get up to like 60, 80 watts or something. So I'm running off the EcoFlow because we're in my living room and it's easier to film in here. That said, you know, you have the main unit, you have the air filter. This, remember, is something I bought aftermarket. It's for the outlet for the filter. It's just a secondary filter, just uses a little paper filter. Ideally, you'd want to run this outside through a window, or if you'd actually put a pass-through in your house or whatever. I would not recommend using this inside for most materials. Just, even with the 2 layers of filtration, you're still getting a lot of smell. And if there's smell, there's probably particulate, probably not the best thing. That said, you can use it inside, just not my preference, right? So, yeah. Now that I've played with it for a while, I love this thing. I absolutely love this thing. This is my first laser. I've never had like a laser or a 3D printer or anything like that. I was very apprehensive about buying this. I was on the fence about buying one of their other lasers for probably 6 to 9 months. And then Peter Brown did a video specifically on the Xtool F1. And I was sold as soon as he put his boss's knife in there and they put a little logo on it. And I was like, oh, worst case, I just use this to mark all my tools and stuff. That'll be fun. But now that I've played with it for a few days and I've kind of figured settings out for a lot of materials, yeah, I love it. Before I show you some examples, though, let's talk about my biggest complaints. So here off to the side, you can see my MacBook Air. it will not connect to my MacBook Pro. Both are Apple Silicon. My MacBook Pro has no problems with anything else, but for whatever reason, it will not connect to the MacBook Pro. I just don't get it. I've tried, you know, I'm using a magnetic power delivery cable right now to connect to it because the unit comes with USB-C to USB-A. Obviously, MacBooks don't have that. So I'm using this cable, and I tried for hours, probably 2.5 hours, to try to get it to work with the MacBook Pro before I finally gave up. And I did like an hour, and then I came back to it later and did like another 1.5 hours, I think. I just couldn't get it to work, but it works right away on my MacBook Air. My other chief complaint is the Wi-Fi takes forever to turn on. I use it on my PC in my office the past few days while I've been testing it, and I've just been doing Wi-Fi on it because I didn't have it anywhere near the machine, and I didn't want to have a cable running across the floor because my chair would run over it, yada yada. So I tried using the Wi-Fi, and again, that took me like 10 minutes to figure out the first time. I kept power cycling the machine, it would connect with my phone, couldn't get connected to the computer. Finally, I realized that when you turn it on, for whatever reason, it just takes like 2 or 3 minutes for it to start showing up on Wi-Fi, at least on my Windows. Sometimes on the phone too. And sometimes, I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but sometimes if I connect to it with my phone, which still takes a while sometimes for it to appear, then it'll connect to the Windows machine. I think I've boiled it down to just there's like a couple minute lag there before it's ready. So if you ever want to use it on Wi-Fi, be aware of that. It does disconnect occasionally, which is kind of annoying. But for the most part, I've been quite satisfied using it on Wi-Fi. It's just a little fiddly. You know, that could be my network settings, that could be, you know, interference from the neighbors, whatever. So not a huge deal. You can always hook it up with a cable. Not a big deal at all, especially if you're using a laptop or something. Other than that, my only complaint is it does not come with safety glasses. You know, the package I got comes with the slide extension, so you can put bigger stuff in, which necessitates having this open so the slide thing can pass through there. Well, this will protect your eyes, but now it's not protected. They do sell glasses. You know, they sell their little Xtool glasses that are the same kind of material and will block the wavelengths, but you got to buy them separately. When I'm paying, I think I paid about $2,100 for this package during Christmas. It's more now because the Christmas sale isn't there. I would expect to get safety glasses. I think I bought those for like $50 on the site, so I imagine those are costing them $15 to $20 maximum. Guys, just throw the glasses in, please. People aren't going to think about it, and they're going to have that thing up, and they're going to run stuff through it, and they're going to suffer permanent vision damage, and it's because they didn't read the manual and they just don't know what they're doing. Just throw the glasses in. It's not going to hurt your profits that much. Okay. Yeah, so let me show you it in operation. Let me go ahead and set it up. Get these out of the way here. So I have these jigs that I got on Etsy. There's several people that make jigs. This one holds the business cards, so you always get a perfect alignment. These are just the aluminum business cards. I think these ones are actually from Temu, but they sell them on their website for like 2 or 3 times as much. You can get them on Amazon at varying prices and in varying colors. I like these jigs. I've got them for like the coaster. I've got them for the pencils. I'll kind of show you that when I go through other stuff I've printed, but they're nice. This seller's templates or jigs come with a template, so everything's all set up. You just put your images on the card, bing bang bada boom. I bought these because I didn't want to have to try to learn on this thing at first. I just wanted to do something and see it and be satisfied and then go through the pains of doing it. I will say there's not a lot of pains in this. It's stupid simple. Like, I have no graphic design capabilities. I have no abilities like that, but I was able to do this just fine. So this bed lifts out. I'm going to lift that out. I'm going to set that in. I'm going to pause the camera real quick. We'll get set up, and yeah, I'll show you how this works. So we're going to go handheld here for a second. See those dots? Those are the alignment dots. So we're going to come over here, and there's this knob, and we can adjust those. And what you're doing is you're lining the red and blue up. They're not showing up very well on camera, But basically there's a red and blue dot here in the center, and you want to get them to overlap to the best of your ability. And that lets you know it's focused. So I'm going to set this back here, going to remount the camera, and we'll give this a go. Well, I lied. We're going to go handheld just for another minute here because I can't get a non-glare angle any other way. So this is the software. You can see up here I'm connected. You can pick materials. So there's a drop down here, and it has some presets. Another complaint I have is the presets are wildly off base for the most part. So I'm just going to ignore them. I kind of know how it works here from trial and error. And this is just your work area. Any of that is in the frame of the footprint of the big base plate stuff. You just put your images in here. But like I said, I have the template. So we're going to find that. It's the dual business card jig. And here we go. Here's my business card. Here's my business card. So I'm just going to get some stuff in there real quick. We'll get the camera reset, and then we're just going to come up here and we're going to go to process. And after we process, it'll, you know, show you what your preview is going to look like. Hang on here. One of these cards is marked as, see, you have output and ignore. For some reason that card was marked as ignore. Gosh dang it. There we go. Okay, cool. So you go to process. It shows you your preview. Again, the text must be marked to ignore instead of whatever. You press start. It beeps to let you know the file's been sent over. Sometimes it takes a little bit depending on the severity. And then you just press the wheel. So let me get an image set up and we'll show you what it does. Okay, if you look off to the right, you can kind of see the images. I've sent them to the unit. I have my glasses on. Again, I stress this, if you run this with the door open, please have proper safety glasses. Do not buy them from Amazon. Do not buy them from Temu. Do not buy them from AliExpress. Buy them from a company that is reputable and that you have faith is going to test the products and that has some skin in the game, because you can go blind. You can suffer permanent vision damage if you're not being safe. This will work when it's down. But if I'm operating with it open, you need to have proper safety glasses. Safety squints aren't going to work. Stuff could reflect off something else. Just please, please take care of your eyes. Okay, that said, I'm going to leave it open for a little bit to show you what that looks like. We're going to push the button. And now you can see it at work. So I realized I made a mistake and I forgot to change that from blue to infrared. I found infrared works better for the cards, so I'm going to show you that. Let me get my glasses back on real quick while you watch that. I'll get you in a little closer there. You can't really see the infrared too well. You can kind of see the bright spots. Again, I have my safety glasses on. I'm stressing this. Safety glasses if you open this while it's on. And now you can see the text appearing pretty much real time. I love this. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? Like, that just blows my mind. If you had shown this to like 10-year-old me, I would have thought you were insane. I'd have been like, what wizardry is this? But I'm gonna go and put this back down. We'll let this finish and then I'll show you the end result. Before it finishes, I wanted to show you one kind of cool hack. So I have this T4K incredibly bright light. It's kind of hard to see in there right now. But if I kick it on the brightest setting, you can actually look in there while it's working and kind of see how your stuff's doing. So if you got a bright flashlight and you have the shield down, you can check your work as it's happening. And now it's finishing. I have the fan set to run for 10 seconds after it shuts off. But yeah, that's it. This did take a total of 13 minutes. You can do these cards much faster. I just did these on the best settings I found just so it looks good. These are just going to go into the trash, but you know, show what it can do, not what it, or show the good that it can do and not what you want to settle for. Okay. So yeah, thanks to my patron, James Greason. Thank you, buddy. You've been with me for over a year now, funding the channel. I appreciate it. And keep calm and steady crafting. If you catch the steady crafting reference, you're awesome. If not, check out the Craftsman. Check out Temu. You know, great guys. Not Temu, Tenu. Sorry, I'm used to saying Temu. Apostrophe in you. But Craftsman's kind of got me into the idea of trying to be a crafty person. There towards the start of lockdown with his channel, and his steady crafting's kind of his little thing. But anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna shift over a little, gonna get all the samples out and show you what we've done with this thing. All right, so we're just gonna kind of go through things here. I'm gonna show you some of these jigs. Again, I bought these on Etsy. These do not come with it. I love them. So this one's for the pencils. You know, you just kind of put your pencils in there, yada, yada, yada. You get the point. And then I think this holds 7. So let me show you here. Well, let me figure out the camera. Well, there we go. So there's one pass at 90 power. I tried 6 passes and it's just blurry, so you might as well just try one. And then We Are the Weirdos Mister from the Craft. And then, you know, it's dangerous out there. Come on. It's dangerous out there. Or it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Sorry. It's early in the morning. Yada, yada, yada. You get it. And then I've got like a little nonsense now and then is relished by the wisest men. All your base belong to us. And then I experimented more on this one, but this is Mess with the Best Die Like the Rest from Hackers. And then I tried 4 passes. And then I tried 1 pass at 70 power. Pretty cool. My wife just wanted to do the pencils because she's a high school teacher, and then she can see if the students notice when she hands out pencils for tests and stuff. So I tried some wood coasters here. Let me get them all out. There were some others. Yeah, so this was my first try. This was the Blue Laser, 75%, 110 millimeters a second at 300 lines. As you can see, come on. It was junk. So then I tried again, and then I started actually encoding what I was doing on my burns. So I had the blue at power 65, speed 120, lines 300. Still, like, not very good. Then I adjusted and we went to blue, power 50, speed 120, lines 300. I mean, it's getting better, but it's still kind of, you know. And then I finally decided that this is about the best I can do with something this detailed. If we'd focus. This is blue at power 45, speed 160, lines 300. I could tweak more, but I started to get it, you know, somewhat decent there. I don't know, well, you can see that. But yeah, that's the wood coasters that it can do. You can play with that more. And then I wondered what photos would look like on the coasters. So let's see here. Where's the first one? This is the first. So here I did blue. There's different settings for the photos. So this is blue within the DF300, a power of 30% and the DPI at 1200. His face is kind of scary. This is Puddle's Pity Party. Going to see him here in a couple weeks again. It's gonna be fun. Not great. So I tried again. Where's that? This time I went way to the opposite end and, you know, not quite the best there. This is at blue with the DF300, power of 20, DPI of 1200. And then I started to get a little bit better. I got blue with the DF300, power of 25% and DPI of 1200. It's getting there, right? And then finally, I settled with a blue D270 P25 DPI 1200. This took 14 minutes and 35 seconds. If we'd focus, there we go. You know, pretty good. I think it's as good as I'm going to get it anyway. Maybe if you put some finish on this and stuff, it'd look a little bit better. Tried it on a different wood maybe. Okay. I tried cork. My first setting on the cork, I actually caught it on fire and the machine shut down. I will say that's a nice thing. It has a fire detection, so if it catches on fire, it's going to shut down, which is nice. And then it just incessantly beeps until you come check it. You're supposed to be in the room with it, but you know, if you stepped out of the room just for 10 seconds and something catches on fire, it's going to let you know. It's going to shut it off. If you got the lid down, it's not going to get a lot of oxygen. Hopefully it goes out real quick. Again, stay with the laser. So, nah, not so good. So then I tried it again, and since I was going for a Halloween theme, this is Engraver, this is Power 40, S300, and then L300. You know, it came out pretty good. It's a little charred. I could have probably gone easier, but I'm not really interested in the cork. It just came with some. This is super flimsy. I just wanted to see what it would look like for the video. Before I did that, I did do a test pattern on the cork. It kind of gave me some ideas. You know, I tried to use 100 power on that, and then it caught on fire. What did I say I did the power at? Yeah, I dropped the power down to 40 and it was still too dark. So I'm finding that grid pattern I bought is not necessarily the best thing. For metal, yes. For everything else, not really. So it comes with these little fake leather patches. I did a test grid on it, you know, not too bad. You kind of can see some of the coloring that you get with the leather. Oh, there we go. At the higher temperatures, it just gets like brown, but as you go lower and change the speed a little, you can get some silver. Kind of interesting. So it came with slate coaster. I think it came with the slate coaster. I did buy these ones on Temu. I don't know if I've even unwrapped the slate one, if it did come with one, but I did a test grid on them. You know, looks pretty cool. You can play with that. These are expensive, so I didn't want to like mess with them too much until I figured out the laser. So I only did this test grid, but where's the camera? You can see that you can do some cool stuff there on this slate. Okay, so this is basswood. This was my first attempt. Give you a wide there of it. This is a blue laser. It's set to cut, power 90, speed of 20. Because the speed was pretty quick, it didn't cut, but it made these nice, satisfying lines. Okay, I do not recommend this. I should have done this outside, and I shouldn't have done it at all. But my wife insisted she wanted to see what it would do to canvas, but because of the, you know, the finish on it and stuff, this was the most acrid, horrible thing I've ever smelled in my life. Probably shaved 20 years off my life, but happy wife, happy life. So if we can get it to focus. I tried that Star Wars pattern again. We did it at power 100, speed 150, lines 300. We did it at power 75, speed 150, lines 300. And then I did it at 50%. And I tried it at 25%, but you know, it didn't really show up. The 50% did look kind of nice. But again, this smelled horrible, probably cancer causing. Do not recommend doing that. So then I tried on the basswood also to do some more puddles images. Let me get them in order here. So here's 39 minutes. Again, not the best looking thing, but it actually still looks pretty good. But his mouth is super deep. It's hard to pick up that depth on camera. Yeah, there's no good angle to really see it, but it still looks really good. And that took 39 minutes. And then I tried it at Blue Laser D220, power 20, DPI 1200. We got 28 minutes. Now it's like kind of, I don't know, a little faint. So I went back to the drawing board and I tried blue with D297, power 20%, DPI 1200. All of these images are in Jarvis mode. There's different modes. I use Jarvis. So it took 32 minutes. You know, it's a little bit better. And then this is what I was most satisfied with. We have a blue D258, power 20, DPI 1200. So basically I just tweaked the duration again a little. And 30 minutes looks pretty good. Let's see, what else do we have? So it comes with these little wood credit card looking kind of deals. I may have bought these on Temu, I'm not sure. But this I did blue. I did it in the score setting, 40% power, 20% speed. Still a little too hot. You can see where it was pulling smoke back from the fan, so it kind of scorched it a little. But, you know, you could do that on these. What else? Let's see here. I'm going to save that for last because that's pretty cool. Let's go to the photo paper. It's called scratch paper, photo scratch, something like that. I tried it at a bunch of different settings and I never got a setting I was happy with. If I could get the light to not... There's no good way to block that light, sorry. That one's really blown out. I tried a couple other images over here. I finally started to get somewhere with it, but I think it was just a bad image because all the white in the photo. It's a very white photo. You could probably play with this and get it better, but I was just losing patience. Oh, I knew I had another leather patch where I actually did something. So I did this little ChatGPT generated castle. I put, generate a black and white image of a castle in a Dracula inspired that I can use with my laser printer, and this is what it spit out, and that's my first try, and not bad. I have no interest in these patches, but I did one just for the video, so you can get an idea of what it can do. And again, if you messed with the power and the duration, you could have added some like silver to this in spots if you wanted. You could have layered it and done some stuff. So here we have a little thing. Let me put it together off camera. Okay. Well, there you go. So it is a little skull heart. Let me move some of this out of the way. Yeah, so I did this little skull heart thing, and I did this at blue, where are we? Blue cut power 100, speed 10. It worked beautifully. This was my first try. So it cut it out nice. You get this little fun skull thing there. You could take this, and now you could paint these separately, glue them to something, put them back together, do whatever. But I thought that was pretty cool. That was on one of those little wood credit card things. They're not quite basswood. I don't think they're balsa either. I'm not really sure what they are. And then I did a bunch more of these cards, like the ones I showed you at the start of the video. Again, I used that Halloween focus. I used that Halloween house, and then I did another Halloween heart. These are just vector files that I bought on Etsy in a pack for like 99 cents. And yeah, this was my first attempt, I think, for an image. So these are with the infrared. This is blue. This is the blue laser. The blue laser leaves a bunch of soot on the cards, and then you have to wipe it away, and it's pretty dull. There it is with the infrared. See, it's much brighter, much more vivid. And then here was the test pattern with the blue light. This is actually the first thing I did on the cards to kind of get an idea of where to go. Not the best, but you can tell that the infrared does much better. Yeah, there you go. So then a friend from church is taking his ham license next weekend, I think. And I went over to his house Saturday to program the local repeaters on his radio, so he can, listen and stuff, and that way when he does finally get his call, he can transmit. I'm Kilo Delta 9 Tango Whiskey Charlie. You'll mostly just catch me on 2 meter. I do have my general, but I don't have any HF equipment. So I made him this little card, and I put the location of all the repeaters kind of in the area. I put the frequency, I put the offset, and then I put the PL tones where they're used. And then I just kind of gave him a little rundown of what he might hear, like CQ, 73, QSL, QSO, QRZ, QTH, rig, pile up, just so he could kind of understand what he's listening to. Then it came with 2 little pieces of acrylic. I've got more acrylic on the way, so I didn't really get to play with it much here. This is really hard to see, but I did Beavis and Buyee on here, use the light to kind of show you. That was at a pretty low setting because I didn't know what it was going to do. This is at maximum setting. I cranked the power up the most, and I cranked like the DPI or whatever it's called for images up the most. And it's definitely burnt. It feels like scarification on your skin, but I really like the way it looks. So I'm gonna play with it more and try to find a good medium where it's not burning it like that. I did have it going really slow here. If I'd gone faster, it probably would have looked cleaner. But I only have 2 of these to practice with, so I just wanted to do something for the video there. Let's talk about metal. I have laser marking spray coming actually today. This is gonna be really hard to show you. So this is 2 passes at the max DPI, max power, not the slowest speed, but pretty dang slow. And I got Beavis and Butthead on there, that same image. And that's, again, that's 2 different passes. It's not very good. So when I get the laser marking spray, I'm gonna try it again down here, and then it'll be obviously be like that black finish. But you can't even really feel that in the tool steel. But these are the hand tool rescue wrenches. I had to have one. I don't really use it for anything because I got good pipe wrenches for stuff this size, but kind of cool. Like I said, when I saw this, I saw it on Peter Brown's video. It's what finally sold it to me, when his boss put her knife in and they put like a little initials on it down here. So yeah, this is a little Kershaw that I have that I don't really use for anything. So I was like, cool, let's play with it. It's got a finish on it, but then I laser etched this kind of finish on it and it looks really nice. So I didn't want to do it the same on both sides. So I went on Etsy and I bought a little fake Damascus pattern here. Come on. And I put that little fake Damascus pattern on there. It wants to focus on my finger. There we go. It's pretty cool. Without the laser marking spray, when I'd done this, it would have still been there, but it would have been very faint. But because this had that gray coat on it already, that like dark gray slate kind of coat, it really did those nice patterns. That's so nice. Okay, for the last thing I did that I want to show you, this was a pain to put together. If we'd focus. This was a total pain to put together because it's so small and I have such giant fingers, and it's coming apart in the bag. Great. So there's tons of these puzzle things for sale on Etsy, and I just got one of them just to play with it here. Okay, there we go. Sorry, this is great YouTube, right? Me fiddle farting around with something. There we go. So I did this little card. You cut out the puzzle pieces, you set it there, and then you make this little tiny puzzle cube. Isn't that cute? Again, because I have such giant fingers, this thing was a pain in the butt to put together. But if you had a larger laser, you could do something like this. That'd be pretty cool. But I'm limited to the 4" by 4" area. And that's it. I love this thing. I'm looking forward to getting a laser spray today and kind of messing with metal some more. I would like to put all kinds of stuff on my knives and my tools and, you know, whatever. This is me with no experience with lasers, just kind of playing around. I took a day off work and played with it all day and a little bit in the evenings, and this is what I was able to do with no experience, no reading. I just watched a couple videos to see, you know, some features of the unit itself. Like you can double tap that start button to redo the last job. I learned a couple of things like that. But yeah, I love this thing. I paid, I think, about $2,200 after the glasses. Let me show you the glasses. So I spent a lot of money on this and I immediately regretted it. And when it came, I regretted it. And I keep going through waves where I love having it, and then I'm like, why did I spend so much money on this? I'm not going to do a store. I'm not going to sell stuff I make. This is purely for hobby. This is purely for the channel. I want to get some old beat up Game Boy shells, and I want to try doing some cool stuff on a Game Boy shell. I want to do some stuff on some old junk Game Boy cartridges. You know, just stuff like that. But I don't know. If you have the money to spend and you're interested in laser, 100% I would recommend the Xtool F1. So here's the glasses. I wish, again, that they would include these. You know, they're good for 190 to 460 and then 800 to 1100 nanometers. So they work for both the blue and infrared laser that it comes with. If you operate with the lid up, you 100% need quality glasses. Please protect your eyes. I'll have a link to this in the description. I like it. Keep in mind that it has that 4" by 4" roughly. It's 100mm by 100mm, I think, or something. It's like 3.9 something inches. But for sake of argument, let's just say 4 by 4 inches. So you're kind of limited to what you can do. And it does come with things like the cutting plate, so you can cut and not worry about like messing up the base. And, you know, the base plate does pop out, so you can set the unit on top of bigger stuff and then kind of just move it. I did buy it with that extension slide. You know, that might be useful if you're doing long stuff. But if you wanted a bigger one, you might check out one of their other lasers that has a much larger area. I wish I had a larger one just so I could do these puzzles and stuff to send to all the nieces and nephews. I've got 55 on my wife's side, I think, and one's being induced today, and there's another one in the works that's not far behind. So it would be neat to just be able to make mass-produce stuff like this and send it to them as gifts, and then I'd be the favorite uncle. But not terribly practical with the small one. But if you're just like marking your tools, or you're taking this to a craft fair and you just want to customize a gift, and you're taking something you made and like flipping it over and putting like, you know, to Pam from Mom, love you, you know, that'd be great. And my wife and I would like to get some tiles and do some stuff on tiles and maybe retile the kitchen with stuff we've done, but we need to experiment with tiles and stuff first and kind of figure out what we want to do. So yeah, this video is really long. It's one of my longest ever. I love it. If you guys have any tips or tricks with the Xtool F1, let me know. Like I said, I'm completely new to lasers. If you have any tips and tricks for lasers in general, I would appreciate it. Like, I didn't know metal marking spray was a thing until someone said it a week after I ordered this and already had it. So I didn't get to play with that right away. So I'm looking forward to that. And if you know any cool materials to try on this thing, yeah, let me know. Like, I have a lot of fun with this thing. I just got to try to find some good uses for it for the channel. I would like to do cool stuff with it on here. It's probably my best way at trying to be creative. I'm not good at like painting stuff or drawing or anything, but I'm looking forward to playing with it with some cardboard later, seeing if I can cut cardboard, and then maybe I can make like some cool cardboard castles or whatever. Yeah. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Shout out to my patron James Greason. Love you, buddy. You're great. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, it's in the sticky comment, as well as a link to this product. And I will see you in the next video.